right now.
Good evening, everyone. I'm calling into order the Racial Equity and Policing Commission meeting today, Thursday, March 12th at 5:55 p.m. We're going to start with our roll call for the commissioners online. Could you introduce yourselves? Any commissioner? Can they hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Go ahead and introduce yourself.
This is Commissioner Gloria Mensah, present.
Commissioner Julia Summerfield present.
Commissioner Dia Uman present.
Like there's one more commissioner.
Commissioner Satini present.
Thank you. Any staff online, or we need commissioners in the room first?
Yeah.
Okay, Commissioner Chair Deetria Taylor.
Commissioner Vice Chair Katie Durante.
Oh.
Commissioner Oganivna.
Okay, can we have any staff introduce themselves?
Hassan Abdi, City Council Office.
Spencer Maddenai, Recorder's Office.
I'm Jennifer Newell, the Mayor's Education Advisor.
Damien Choi, Chief Impact Officer.
Michelle Mooney, Impact Manager, Salt Lake City Mayor's Office.
I think that's it for staff.
Yeah, like I didn't know if you guys were here.
And we'll go around.
No, you guys are.
You want us to? Oh,
You're all city staff.
got it. Brian Red, Chief of Police.
Glenn Mills, Chief of Staff, Salt Lake PD.
Bill Manzanares, Deputy Chief.
John Lampshire, Sergeant over the SROs.
Robin Hartney, Lieutenant, Salt Lake Police.
Okay, we also have online Bree Conley with the Salt Lake City School District, and Mo and Steve, I'm gonna have you just introduce your guys selves for the record as well.
Moises Prospero, iChamp.
And Steve Andrew Weirden, also with iChamps.
Okay. Constituents are encouraged to apply for open vacancies. There are a few. Now we're going to have a brief introduction and remarks by Spencer Mandanay.
It was close. All right. Well, thanks for letting me join, everyone. Like I said, my name is Spencer, and I am just over a year with Salt Lake City. Prior to that, I was working for Park City Municipal for about 7 years. And I was brought on to Salt Lake City to help oversee boards and commissions. And so this can be anything from supporting board managers, as well as helping elevate the board member experience. And so maybe you've seen some emails come through that could have been in regards to OTMA compliance, any missing forms. And most recently, I sent out a board member survey. So if you haven't taken that yet, I'll make sure that Michelle has that survey link for you guys to give us some feedback, help me kind of formulate some projects that will help us be a better resource and provide better tools for you guys and for your time on the board. So I'm excited to receive any feedback. Like I said, thank you for letting me join, and I appreciate it. Have a good meeting.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Spencer. Is there another presentation? Is fine to proceed.
No, that was it for number one. So we can move into item number 2.
Okay, this is the portion of the meeting, open dialogue. During this portion, commissioners may raise topics and discuss current events that may impact or influence the commission's overall work. Discussions and deliberations to provide recommendations to the mayor and city council regarding the Salt Lake City Police Department's policies, budget, and culture. No action will be taken during this section of the meeting. Matters discussed during this section of the meeting may be scheduled on a subsequent agenda follow-up. Do we have any items for open dialogue among the commissioners?
I do. This is Commissioner Satini. Can you guys hear me okay? Sorry. Mobile.
Yes.
Okay. So the reason for my comment is we have an upcoming event, which is the Who Got Roots competition. It's going to be hosted at West High School. It's a Pacific Islander community event where schools come together, they compete, celebrate culture, heritage. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because there's been a lot of different, I guess, issues that have been happening within the Pacific Islander community with the fights that are happening at West High School. I know it's a safety issue and it has come across. And so in relation with the Salt Lake School Foundation, which I am a board member of there, I wanted to, I had a conversation with them in regards to the event, and they are going to go ahead and sponsor the space. Then there was conversation of having the Salt Lake City Police Department involved with security, which I have talked with Officer Christiansen and sent him an email of requesting security as well as some financial support if it's available. I think I had brought this to the board last year as well, and we were, I think, in limbo of getting some work done, but we are about a month out, so it's being hosted April 24th. And so I wanted to bring it up and put it out there as a way for prevention for a lot of the things that are happening, because the plus side of this is that it's touching the communities that are not involved in sports, because you get a lot of the youth kids that are in sports, but then we miss a lot of these kids who are not in sports and they don't have something to kind of keep them busy with. And this is just another avenue to be able to help out with everything going on. Sorry, that was a mouthful. Can you guys hear that?
Yes, Chief Red has a question for you.
Okay.
We'd love to support. You said April 24th, and is there a time?
Right, it's running from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Currently with the tape, we're working with Dr. Yapia, so he has we just want to make sure that it all falls through, but I wanted to put it under the police department's radar and trying to get some support from that. And it sounds like in talking with Officer Christiansen, it's definitely doable, but I just wanted to get it on record on here on the conversations that are happening, and if there's any other support that we can get.
Yeah, we'll be happy to support. I'll follow up with Deputy Chief Christiansen and make sure we support that event. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Sapini. Does any other commissioner have items for the open dialogue? Okay, we'll move on now to any public comment, which I don't believe we have any members from the community here.
One quick question. Sorry, was that last thing? Was that at one of our schools? I thought this time.
I'd like to drop by if I can on that day, maybe not the whole time. Keep getting that.
I think also with the shootings that are happening, if there's been conversation within the community, and I actually had somebody come to my home. I wasn't there when they came. They were looking for someone else, and and not only my home, some of these other homes that, where police officers were coming to look for certain people, and I think the ask from some of the community members is, just the respect, because I think some of the community members' homes that were visited, it was a bit invasive, I guess is the way that they put it. But I don't know. I wasn't there, but I just wanted to. I don't know how much of that has been resolved with the shooting with the food truck, which is some of what I had mentioned the last meeting has come from cases before. And I don't know how much you can even touch up on that, but I wanted to bring that up.
We'll definitely remind our teams, and if there's anyone that we need to follow up with, Commissioner, please just let me know and we're happy to follow up.
There's nothing else. I'm gonna move on to approve and adopt the minutes from our January 2026 meeting. Could I get a motion? Any of the commissioners?
Motion to approve.
I'll second it. Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Those online, raise your hand.
Aye.
See what you.
Aye.
I love that we're practicing coming on.
Hanging out in the.
Okay, that's everyone. Yeah.
Okay, thanks so much. I'm gonna turn it over to Chief Red for see what he has for us this evening.
Well, thank you for having us, commissioners, and it's good to be with you, both online and in person. And just a couple updates, and then I'm open to any questions. Was it last week we celebrated our 100th? Is it this week or last week? I'm losing track. Tuesday. Thank you.
A week ago.
I don't remember. We celebrated our 175 years as a police department. I think the mayor mentioned this in one of her releases. This is, we're one of the oldest police departments in the country. New York was formed in 1847, San Francisco in 1849, and Salt Lake in 1851. So we've been around a long time. Now, this also marks about 1 year for me here at the department, and I just want to thank all of you commissioners and Michelle and others in the city, Jennifer. I don't want to start naming names, but for all the support that we felt at the police, Damien, see, I'm going to forget for all the support that we felt from this commission and from those who supported. So thank you for that. Just a few updates. We continue to work on our strategic plan. We're currently in the phase where we're soliciting feedback, both through surveys to our staff internally and to community members as well. So if any of you are interested in taking that survey, just let me know and we'll make sure we get the QR code so that you can have your input into our strategic plan. We just a couple of things that we're very, very proud of over the past year. One is we've become fully staffed as a department. All of those officers are not out on the street yet, but they will be out by November. And we just continue to have good interest in people wanting to apply for the Salt Lake City Police Department. We just graduated 24 officers today. It was a good mix of officers with, I think, different experiences, and they're all very young too at the same time. So we're excited to have them. One of them came from the Department of Corrections, and she told me today, you followed me here. I put my application in the day before you announced you were going to the Salt Lake City Police Department. You followed me here. Just a quick update on our crime statistics for this year. We continue to see things trending down in the city. The number of total crimes, property crimes in particular, have gone down significantly. One of the areas that that is up significantly this year that we're watching closely and concerned about is aggravated assault. within families. We know there's a lot of stresses out there and the challenges, but that's one that we're concerned about, which is going to take a whole of community approach to address, not just the police department. Last year, about this time, the commission supported some funding for technology, including drones, as an alternate response to officers. I just wanted to quickly give an update there. We're rolling out our center with the drones, and we piloted last month our drones, and we deployed on 45 calls that were lower priority calls, and we were able to clear almost 40% of those calls without sending an officer. We had another experience where we had a suicidal subject called in. She had parked in a parking garage in downtown. On a particular level of the garage, officers were responding in the garage trying to find her. Our drone deployed ahead of them and was able to identify what level of the parking garage she was on, and then was able to direct officers in to the parking garage so that the woman did not see the officers approaching, and they were able to pull her off the edge and save her life. So we thank the commission for the support there, and we know it's going to give our officers better information as they respond to calls, and so we can respond appropriately. The only other thing that I'd mentioned to the commission over the past couple of months is we want to continue to find ways to connect with our diverse communities, our underserved communities, and just make sure we have a good feel for how people feel about the police department, what their needs are, how we can improve. I just want to report that we've spent a lot of time this past couple of months since we last met, supporting the Jewish community with a lot of events that are happening around the country. We've, even as today's, there was an incident in Michigan. We were at the Jewish, one of the Jewish synagogues where they have preschool, and we had officers there as the families were picking up their kids. Imam Shuaib, I think is how you say his name. We had an incident that was very public. We spent a lot of time with the Muslim community, checking the mosques, putting cameras up and making sure they felt safe. Recently attended the iftar this week. That was a great experience. Thanks for the invitation. That was the first event I attended as police chief last year. We had an Argentine delegation here recently, and they were learning about the state of Utah. So that was a great experience. We had about 20 people at our police department. That was cool. We recently also had the Community Partners Against Hate. We hosted them a couple months ago, about a month ago at our building, and that was a good experience. And then we just have a couple upcoming meetings I wanted to mention. We'll be meeting with Pacific Island Knowledge to Action Resources, Susie Felch. How do you say her last name? Malohifu. Yeah. Let's see, did I get that right? We're going to be meeting with an organization that supports traumatic brain injury. We know that a lot of the individuals that are experiencing homelessness out on our streets have traumatic brain injury, and so we're going to learn how we can better respond and find ways to collaborate. This will be good. We are organizing a town hall meeting for individuals experiencing homelessness. We're working with a homeless advocate to do in April. And we're going to sit down and see how we can better serve that population. And then I think that's probably, we're meeting with United Communities, or CU, here in about a week with some of the challenges we know that are going on around immigration, how our Hispanic communities may be feeling right now. So those are some things that we're doing to try to do outreach. But as I've mentioned to you, commissioners, if there are other people that we need to be connecting with or serving or engaging, please let us know and give us those community members or organizations so that we can connect. That's all I got.
Thank you, Chief Red.
Who's on the agenda? You want me to introduce?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the next agenda item is a discussion around SROs. There's been a lot of meetings with Jennifer. Of course, I've talked to Steve and Moises over the years as well. But we've recently put a new sergeant in place there, Sergeant Lampshire, who's with us. Deputy Chief Manzares is over the SRO program as well. But we've been meeting with the district, and they have some ideas on how we can support at-risk youth. And there's a lot of good work going on. We have some new blood in there, and so it's just an opportunity to re-envision how we're doing our school resource officers and how we can be better support to the community. Cindy, one of our commissioners here today, we've been communicating with as well, and getting some ideas. So we appreciate the engagement we're having with you. But I'll turn it over to Deputy Chief Manzares, and then whatever you have planned here.
Go ahead, John. We've recently gone through and made a few changes, and some of them with our strategic plan, and Sergeant Lampshire has done a really good job kind of kicking that off and getting going with that. And we're looking at some different trainings for our SROs, some out of state. Hopefully next month we can get the dates right to get Sergeant Lampshire and some of his crew out there. But we're really looking to be more involved in the schools rather than just an officer at the school, but actually be a resource to the students and those that are maybe needing a little bit more to befriend and really be a mentorship for our SROs for the students there. John, anything you'd add?
With the SROs and the mentorship, the mentoring of these kids and everything is going so well right now. I've been to each one of these schools and seeing the SROs to communicate with them, to guide them, to give them ideas. We got a lot of kids going into the military up there at East because of not having guidance of where to go after school. So we've given them so many ideas outside of school when they graduate, to where I think we're heading in the right direction of showing them the way, showing them a path anyway. So rather than being lost. So I think we're doing a great job. It's more of an indirect mentoring than a grabbing people. We have the PYP program that's doing the direct mentoring with the real trouble kids. That's all I've got right now.
Any questions, or Chief or Glenn, anything you'd add?
I want to just highlight a couple of points out of the strategic plan and just maybe mention who's kind of worked on that plan, and just hit a couple high points. I think this commission has a subcommittee that's focused on, I think, is it SROs and youth, or is it? Yeah, school resource officers. And then I would also invite Jennifer, if you have anything to add on what we're, that would be helpful as well.
With our strategic plan, we've activated a lot of active shooter training, and we just went through the training with our training unit, and there was nothing but positive influences and stuff, and answers and comments have come about how our school resource guys react to that stuff because of the training. And we're doing a bunch of Guardian training, which is a new program that's been implemented. The Guardian program is the civilian that's going to be carrying a gun inside the school. They're going through 38 hours of training, which is firearms, a lot of different scenarios, whether it's active shooter or dealing with something that's committing serious bodily injury. And I'm in part of that whole training program, and it's going really well. We got a lot of good teachers and volunteers that are willing to get into that, which is in every one of the schools. So I think everything we got going right now with our strategic plan going towards that part is going really well, very positive. A lot of great people that are being involved in that. What else is there?
I just mentioned the Guardian program. For those of you who don't know, it's required by law. It's a state law now that every school must have an armed person. And so we're covering that most of the time in the high schools and middle schools with school resource officers, but if they're not there, et cetera, there needs to be backup. So there's a lot of really clear kind of guide. It's not always clear, but some guidance in terms of who's carrying them, the training they're doing, who knows about who they are, et cetera. So it's something that's happening all across the state, and the more training, the better. And SROs, I think, play just such a key role in the safety piece.
And one of the other things we're doing right now, really good, was communicating a lot better with the PYP program, the Promising Youth Program. We have the summer program coming up and everybody is on board. We've already got a lot of stuff booked and ready to roll. And so just with that stuff right there, I mean, there's nothing but positive to say about the program right now.
Again, I just was gonna mention, I really appreciate that we've had a number of conversations with the school district. As I was talking to Sergeant Lampshire earlier, before the meeting, there hasn't always, I think on either side, we haven't had a clear kind of, this is what this should look like. It's kind of been going on for so long and stuff gets passed on from the district about this is how we do SROs in our district, and from the police department, this is how we do it. And so I'm really encouraged by the training that SROs, the officers are getting, and also by the communication, and by the opportunities kind of that are opening up for going to other, even to another state. We hope to visit a SRO program that has been kind of identified as a model program just to learn. But I just really appreciate from this administration, having just the willingness to look and say, hey, how can we get even better? Thanks.
Okay. Well, next, I'm gonna go ahead and turn it over to our community iChamps. You're doing a presentation today.
Yes. Yes, we are. Thanks for the invite. I'm going to try to wake y'all up. So my name is Moises Prospero. Most people call me Mo. We're going to talk today about school-based law enforcement training, officer training, and school-based law enforcement training. That's actually the official term for SROs. When you look at the literature, that's what it's, school-based law enforcement. And I'll be here with Chief Andrew Whitten, and we had there the Commission on Racial Equity and Policing, because when I was on the board, I was a core member, and it was just racial equity and policing, even though we were commissioners as well. And so then I heard it was CREP. And now I'm seeing here it's REPC. I just said REPC. So yeah, we're with y'all. So you go to the next slide, please. Yeah, I was late. That was good. Let me just do this. Okay. So just a quick a description of what we do with iChamps. iChamps stands for Improving Community Health and Model Police Services. And we put the model in there because we didn't want it to be called iChamps. So iChamps sounds better. And so we're a nonprofit organization, started approximately 10 years ago when Chief Andrew Whitten decided to retire. I'm like, what? Okay, then at that time I was with county running their gang program throughout the counties at 5 cities: West Valley, Salt Lake City, Midvale, Kearns, Magna. And so we were like, hey, okay, let's go ahead and start our own program, but start trying to work a lot more on the prevention end, because we had done a lot of gangs. Domestic violence was my area as well. And so we wanted to do a little bit more on the prevention end, with the understanding is that we always need comprehensive models. We always got to go for prevention all the way to incarceration and reentry as well. So 3 of our areas that we're looking at is youth development, and that is basically working with our youth, right? Our kids in elementary, middle school, in high school. That's when I started, but we really like to focus on the younger ones, but we of course will work with the older ones. We did before the pandemic, we actually would hire law enforcement, Salt Lake PD, to go with us to just hang out with the kids in the schools, and almost all Title I schools in the West Side. And by the way, I am a proud resident of the West Side. And so we would have them come over and just hang out. And those are patrol officers, right? They would come, have no purpose for law enforcement at all. No trying to tell the kids what to do. Just hang out and build those relationships. And it was so awesome, because once those officers would go out there, they'd be called on a domestic, and all of a sudden there's that kid saying, "Hey, officer so-and-so, I know that. He's my iChamps officer." All of a sudden, de-escalated. Still, people were going to be accountable. We're still going to have to deal with it. But now some of the crisis is starting to go down. We don't do that after the pandemic. We kind of stopped, but I still engaged with elementary, middle school kids, just to remember what it's like to work with kids. Professional development and training. Here we do training and technical assistance throughout the country. A lot of this is to be able to prevent crime from occurring. early intervention. So some of this will be like the SRO stuff that we'll talk about today, but it could be a lot of gang training, comprehensive gang programs that is a evidence-based program around the country, evidence-based policing, restorative justice, all these kinds of programs meant to reduce or prevent crime. And then research and evaluation. I'm an evaluator, I'm a researcher, so that's a large part of what I do is community assessments, risk assessments, crime data, but also asset mapping. What are the strengths of those communities? Because we're not there to fix them. We're there to support and see their strengths so they could be able to improve well-being, right? And then we assist in the implementation. There's all these programs that are out there. Oh yeah, this program is great. How do you implement it? And how do you tweak it accordingly to that community? Our community is a little bit different. And sometimes there's a little difference in funding too. Wow, this program that we saw that was run by Harvard, that was awesome. Yeah, they had a $10 million grant. We don't have that. How do we implement it and still get those outcomes? And then lastly, program evaluations, which I conduct a lot of, from suicide prevention all the way to crime prevention as well. Next, please. Again, as I said, my name is Moises Prospero, over 30 years in criminal juvenile justice. I'm originally from El Paso, Texas. That's why I wear cowboy boots all the time, unless I'm in the gym. As a faculty, that's how I ended up here in Utah. And I've been here 20 years working at the University of Utah as a director of the Utah Criminal Justice Center. And the Criminal Justice Center, what they do is it's a combination of College of Law, Social Behavioral Sciences, College of Social Work. Works with CCJJ, Commission on Criminal Juvenile Justice, up at the governor's office. And they would tell us what programs should go and evaluate. Hey, we want you to check out early intervention. Are they really working? Is it really keeping our kids out? Or we want you to check out the sex offender program at the prison. So we'd go to the prison and we do that. So that's what we do when I was at the U. Then I became manager of the Salt Lake Gang Reduction Program. Before that, I had already met with Chief Andrew Weirden. We met at the Governor's Gang Task Force when he was the commander of Metro Gang Unit. So I've worked with Metro gangs. I also worked with Safe Streets and the combination when they were together, and then when they split up again, and so forth and so on. So it definitely worked a lot with gangs here, as well as internationally. And then I worked at residential treatment centers. It was probably the best time I've ever had living with the kids, in therapeutic horsemanship and so forth and so on. And then I went to school forever and ever and ever. That's me. Pepe.
Yeah, thank you, Mo. I'm Steve Andrew Weirden. As Mo mentioned, I'm a retired police officer. I worked 25 years with Salt Lake County Sheriff's Office and Unified Police Department. When I retired, I was Chief of Police Services over the communities for Kearns and Magna. I do always like to mention for my law enforcement colleagues, in the unified model, each of our communities could pick their own chief of police, even though we were under the umbrella of the sheriff. So I don't want to exaggerate my credentials, but I've done a lot of stuff and a lot of executive stuff too. So Chief of Police Services, retired. During the course of my career, I worked basically every position I can think of along the way, from corrections to patrol, detectives, supervisor in the ankle monitor release program at the jail. I did Homeland Security. When I was promoted to lieutenant, I was put over the Metro Gang Unit, so the Salt Lake Area Gang Project. So I'm the former commander, and in that position, it really gelled in my mind that it was important to do hard-nosed police work because there was a lot of violence that needed to be quelled, but that if we weren't doing our prevention work to starve the beast, we were only doing part of our duty. So it's important for us to support our young people, to help them not be victimized by these gang members, either through recruiting or through violence. And that was a real shift in my mind about putting a lot of emphasis on supporting youth and youth development and youth sports. From that position, I was promoted to captain over our professional standards division, which one of the key components of that was providing training to the police department. So we had 680 cops that we had to train every year. So I have significant experience in actually developing training and doing presentations, but also the administrative side behind making sure that we can accomplish all of that. And then, as I said, I got promoted to chief, and I retired from that position. And I always like to say this to my law enforcement colleagues: I loved being a cop. Retirement's really nice too. So you do your duty, and then take care of yourselves, and have a healthy career beyond that. But we were invited here today to speak about one piece of training that we do, and it's working with school resource officers. We have a significant amount of experience in that area. And with that, we'll move forward with the presentation.
Thank you. Oh, by the way, I try to remind Steve that he is not fully retired. And we do these things on the side too. Well, he does it. I will never retire. Quarter time. So back in 2011, Department of Justice and Department of Education, they came together and they wanted to address some of the issues that were going on in schools, in the public schools. They called it the SSDI, the Supportive School Discipline Initiative. And part of that, they came up with some recommendations. And in those recommendations, there was a chapter specifically about working with SROs. And so in 2016, there was a work group in Salt Lake County, one of the work groups in the state in Salt Lake County. And Steve was, I think you were the chair of that one, right? When he was still on the job, as you guys call it. And so they decided to say, hey, you know what? We'd like to conduct an assessment on our programs here in Salt Lake County. What does that look like? Are we doing what we're supposed to be doing? Then based on that, should we develop a SR program? Is there already SR curriculum, or is there something out there already? And then let's see if we should implement it. So that's when they brought me in as a researcher to conduct the assessment. Next, please. Gracias. So the assessment was we ended up having 4 school districts, which was Salt Lake, Granite, Jordan, and Canyon school districts, with their partnering agencies, some of them. So it was Salt Lake PD, Unified PD, Sandy Police Department, and then Jordan Police Department, and then the Granite has their own police department as well, the school district. So we also included them in that. That's in this assessment as well as training. And so I conducted a whole bunch of focus groups with SROs and school administrators. School administrators generally are the principals and assistant principals. Really focus on the assistant principals. They are mostly in charge of discipline. And also looked at documentations. Is there a SRO job description? What is the selection process, and so forth and so on. And there was a lot of confusion by the school administrators. I got to school, there's a cop in there. I have no idea what I'm supposed to do with a cop. And if y'all know, once that school starts, it is on. And it was often take several months before that SRO and that administrator could really sit down and agree on what we're supposed to do when there's some troubling behavior. The SROs also were having, I don't know who my boss is. Sometimes we have a full-time sergeant, sometimes we don't have a full-time, that's just part of their gig. And then I got this principal that's on me. But what if the principal's upset with me? Are they going to call my chief? What's going to happen? And so they kind of wanted, give me some command here, some chain of command here as well. In the end, a lot of them were talking about, we shouldn't use the SROs for daily discipline. But that was the way they were talking. When we saw it in practice, it was a little bit different. We also noticed that no school district had a true MOU, Memorandum of Understanding. They had contracts. Hey, give us 5 SROs. This is how much we'll pay for them. 50% or whatever, but they didn't have actually policies that guided the practice, right? This is what SRO should do. This is what a school administrator do on this type of event that may happen. And so the recommendations were, we do want joint training for SROs and school administrators. And that's the big one. DOE, DOJ, they said, they should be joint training together. The SRO with their school administrators, so they could see, we're all getting the same information. We all both got the same foundation. And now we're going to practice different scenarios. So when this happens, you know what you're supposed to do. I know what I'm supposed to do. Also the need for MOUs. And those MOUs should have policies that guide the practices. There should be some job descriptions as well. And then on the selection process of SROs, recommendations, if you can, preferably to have some school involvement.
when Steve was chief out at Magna Kearns. It's gonna hurt me, but he did a great job by inviting a principal of that school. So say it's Hunter, or no, I'm trying to say West Valley, but here's the high school. We need a SRO. We have 3 of them applying, and there'd be the principal. They could ask the questions, but still the authorities of hiring is still with law enforcement agency, right? But it's really good to get the feedback of that school official, especially when that school official is selected, the SRO selected. They show up to that school and they already got kind of a connection. All right, you picked me, you selected me. All right, it's pretty cool. Boom, right away, even before the school starts, they already are connected. So that's a great way great practice to do when it comes to selecting an SRO. Next, please. So there was they decided, you know what? Yes, there's NASRO. One thing we are not, what we do is not in competition with NASRO. If anything, we're in complementary with NASRO. Especially back then, NASRO now does have some training for I think school administrators as well. But back then there wasn't. So what we did, we looked at NASRO and then said, okay, where are the gaps, and how can we add to this? And so that's what this work group said. We really do want them to work with the school district. We want the school administrators and anybody else that can be part of this. So we could be a community, not just cops and school officials, but actually work together. So the team was made up of SROs, both the SROs themselves, as well as supervisors, school administrators, juvenile court chief probation officers. They were crucial at this piece. We had also prosecutors and defense attorneys, so they could also guide us on some of the legal pieces. Next, please. And so this is just a list of the topics. You can see there's a lot. But the main ones there are the roles of the school administrator and the SROs when it comes to student misbehavior. And then the MOUs, as we went through the years, we saw how important having those MOUs were, especially as we go around the country, how much they can really help address some of the issues. There's a lot of gray when we work with humans, and then especially with a protected population like adolescents and children. And so it really is nice to have guidance. Then, of course, MTSS, which is something for educators, juvenile court process, and so forth and so forth. You see cultural competency, student rights, and all the way down to the bottom, as you'll see, we say scenarios throughout the training. Best practice is always practice, practice, practice. Military and sports are the best at their job because they practice, practice, practice. When I was in the Marine Corps, in the infantry, that's what we did. Practice, practice, practice. So during the training, we put scenarios throughout every topic. There's a scenario. Let's test this out. Let's test this out. Let's test it out. We learned something. Now let's practice it. Next, please. Steve.
So as we start our training, and we wanted to share this with the commissioners about what our philosophy was, but our training and our shared assessment as we start our conversations are that students learn best when they're in school, right? There's some occasions where there's some push out and there's challenges with young people with their behaviors, and it can sometimes be easier to try to move them on. We advocate for keeping them in school and helping to meet those needs to create student success. So students learn best when they're in school. And that school districts and police departments should implement best policies and practices to support students to achieve academic and behavioral goals, right? And in a minute, when I talk just briefly about some of the roles of police officers, there's an educator role. And we really focus on that because we believe that every person who is in a school is responsible for that educational environment and the success of those students. And then, as Mo already mentioned, we are strong advocates for co-training and team training. So if we had the opportunity to work in Salt Lake City, we would ask that we could work with the SROs and potential SROs and people in the chain of command, but also those folks in positions with the school district, because that co-training is critical, and understanding the responsibilities of each other is some of the best way to work as a team which gets the best outcomes for our young people, right? So we always advocate, we always start with this. Some of the material we're going to teach will be familiar to the officers. Some will be familiar for administrators, but understand that the reason for that is co-training. So take it as a review, if that's all it is, but understand that we may be bringing your colleagues to speed, right? So as we talk just briefly about some of the elements of the training. So for officer friends who are in the room, and I think I see Bree Conley with the school district online, understand that that's the purpose. So we'll show you some data at the end about the outcomes of some of the training and pre and post tests for trainings that we've done here in Utah. But we just wanted to show this slide that we start with the roles so everyone understands what they do and sometimes, quite frankly, what you don't do. So you can see SROs, law enforcer, educator, and informal counselor. And we really break that down in detail as to what that looks like. And I think that one thing that's so interesting as we talk about training, and particularly in that law enforcer role, is there is so much that is required of our police officers in schools now. So much detail of what their responsibilities are, and so much training that goes into getting that I really advocate for the fact that school resource officers is a specialty position working with a vulnerable population, and we cannot train enough to make sure that they are experts in their field, how to interact with young folks, how to interact with the systems, and how to get the best outcomes, right? And then, of course, on the other side of that, you see the school administrator is the leader, manager, and collaborator. Each of those have specific legal requirements and duties and, quite frankly, limitations. And we make sure that we're having those conversations for those folks to work together, again, for the best outcome for our young folks.
So the governance documents here, basically we call them memorandums of understanding. It could be called interlocal agreements, so forth and so on. And basically we really hit this hard. And we give examples of what MOU may look like. We actually like to brag about Salt Lake City's MOUs with PD and school district. Part of it is because I was part of that, and Phil Essinger, when he had just taken over the SROs, I worked with Phil, with the school district as well, and to develop this first MOU. And the idea is I looked at best practice throughout the whole country. What does it look like? And then we got together, we put it together, and then of course you give it to legal. Let them figure out what should be there and what should not. What we do is we oftentimes go around the country, we share this. We show the MOU, and then they say, hey, we'd love to have this. We don't want to get started all over, man. We need at least something of a template, no problem. We don't give legal advice. We're not lawyers, but let's connect you with the attorneys. And the attorneys here have been awesome. They're like, yeah, no problem. We'll share it, and so forth and so on. And so this just says, kind of the main things that should be in there, like defining the roles, the distinguishing disciplinary misconduct that should be handled by school administrators versus criminal offenses to be handled by law enforcement, and so forth and so on. So we really, again, target this MOU a lot. Next, please. And then this is just an example of the scenario. This is what do you baseball people call this? A softball or something like that?
I think it is.
Yeah. Okay. Something where it's an easy one. Or, here's a scenario: students wearing a cap or some kind of dress code thing, and that they shouldn't be wearing walking into the school hallway. It violates the school dress code policy. Virgen Santísima, what's going to happen? So both the administrator and the SRO see this kid. Okay, who should take the lead, right? Okay, if the SRO takes the lead, then what does the school administrator, or vice versa? Okay, well, what if the student reacts a certain way, right? And because all those things sound great, and then you're saying, oh yeah, we'll say this, and it's fine. Students, just like us adults, have bad days. Sometimes we don't respond appropriately. And so this is a really easy one, but boy, does it can get a really bad place, which we have seen in YouTube videos throughout the last few decades, where something as simple as this goes really bad. So there's different ways that we talk about it, ways that we could provide, still the SRO could be involved, But hey, let's give you an exit strategy so we don't get sucked into this power dynamic, and yet the kids still going to be accountable, and yet still will get the services needed so they could be successful. So we have these throughout the training. So we'll have something on the courts we're going to talk about. We'll have scenario. What does this look like? Is this appropriate for referral for the courts, or is this something that schools should really still keep in their schools? Next, please. MTSS. So this is a part where oftentimes law enforcement is not aware of what MTSS is, and usually because we see it on the pretest, they write, "What the hell is this?" Yep, and they'll ask what. Just answer how you can. And so, but here the educators will more or less all know. Oh yeah, MTSS, multi-tiered systems of support. Oh, I left a T. Tiered systems of support. Next, please. And here's just a general thing of there's 3 tiers. In general, this is the best way this is how we teach with law enforcement and the school administrators together. That first tier is for all students, and then the second tier is for students that need a little bit more, some help, some support. The third tier, they need some intense intervention, and it's both academic and behavioral. So it may be that the competency level for 5th grader is X. Okay, we're providing these resources, but they're not. Some of us don't get it, so we need a little bit more supplemental, a little bit more resources, a little bit more services. Okay, we're tier 2. Oh, you know what? I still don't get it now. Some intense stuff. But it could be the same thing behaviorally as well, right? Where I'm just not acting like a 5th grader. Oh, some easy mentorship. All right, get me to a good place. I'm still not. Maybe because I have some ADHD and I still haven't been diagnosed. So that's what made tier 3. But what the thing with this is, where does an SRO fit in these? Because schools are supposed to have a plan for tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. And oftentimes they just think, oh, tier 3 is where the cops, when there's trouble, man, that's what the cop is for. Go there and arrest that little Mo. I used to have an afro, just so you know. I know you're looking at my beard. Yes, it used to be up here. And so that's what this is for. Can you go to the next one, please? Yes. And so this is an example of, hey, schools, this is where you could put the SRO in your plan. Right? There could be 3 objectives, and this is what the strategy may look like. Right? That second one, the ID, early identification of student problems. Hey, greet the schools right away. Come in. Hey, you know what? You got 5 kids. Can you make sure the little Mo, when he comes in, just say hi to him. He's got a rough family. Cool. And then one day he doesn't say hi, or he looks rough. I mean, if you have a great relationship, talk to him. If not, hey, counselor, check this out, man. Little Mo don't look good. And you may even find out that, somebody in the street, patrol told me that his mom was arrested. Oh, no wonder, man. So stuff like that, right? This is some things that the SRO can have at the very beginning, very preventative, not necessarily the role of law. Next, please. Always pushing for positive reinforcement, and we try to practice that with our professionals as well, always catching them doing right. 4 positive statements for 1 corrective action. That is sometimes really hard for for some of us because we are trained oftentimes to be very critical. We try to practice this. Next, please. PBS World. This is a great resource that if you see a kid say he's hyperactive, what do I do with this kid that's hyperactive? You could click it. This is pbsworld.com. You click it and they'll show you tier 1 strategies. You could try this for this time. Oh, this isn't working after 6 months or so. Here's tier 2 strategies. So it's a great way where the SROs and schools, whether it's the counselor or the school administrator, could come together and say, okay, this is what we're going to do with little Mo, and let's try this out. And let's document and see and SRO, you'd be great if you could support us on this. Again, not as a law enforcer, but as that informal counselor, that role. Next, please. Definitely talk about what is not effective. And this is definitely something when I got out of the Marine Corps and I went straight to work in residential with troubled boys. Oh, I did a lot of this stuff. I screwed up bad. Right. And so I want to make sure that we don't about kids. And a lot of this stuff could be either formal or very informal. And also some numbers. We show some numbers during the training. Not only does this is not effective, but sometimes it makes it worse. Like, next, please. Then we got lucky that we had juvenile courts work with us. They put their own slide, as you see, it looks very different. And they would come train with us. Throughout the state, the chief probation officer of that judicial district would come and train. And the purpose of that is to teach law enforcement and the school districts, what do we do? What are those rumors out there that we do? We don't fix kids. Don't send us those low-level offenders. We're not going to work that. And then you have that person right then and there. You could just call. Here's my card. If you have a question whether this kid can be brought into detention, we'll tell you. Like that, you don't get embarrassed trying to get this kid in, and you can't. But you know what? We got other referrals that we could give you. Can you give us the next one? You're going to have to press a couple of times because it's. Oh no, you don't. Yes. Oh, you know. Yeah. Good. And so this just shows the process. You know, hey, just because you send a kid to juvenile probation, they may end up just at home right away, or maybe they do go to detention. It depends on the DRAT. What is the DRAT? Well, that is a screening. What does that mean? Okay, and so we follow throughout the whole way. So when you may get a non-judicial placement, what does that mean? Oh, okay. What if you do go to court? When does the judge actually see you? So forth. So we explain that whole way, and again, you're able to talk to that chief probation officer. Kids will lie. I know this is shocking. They'll say, "Yeah, man, I'm on probation," and in reality, they're not. They're in the first part, and they're at home, but they're gonna talk smack, right? Because they want to sound tough. Others are in probation, and if they're in probation, it's probably good to know so you could support, not to use as a punishment, but to use to be able to support. And some of the schools will know and will be able to support. Next, please.
Yeah, and we spend some time on students' rights. So as Mo was mentioning earlier, we train to the memorandum of understanding, which is the rule book between the police department and the school district. I do want to acknowledge that since that original MOU has been updated with work from people around the table who put a new version out, and I just wanted to make sure to acknowledge that. But within schools, there's also important rules about search and seizure, questioning students when you can and when you can't, different legal standards for SROs and school administrators, and then what are best policies and practices for how you implement those things. So that's kind of in the just because you can doesn't mean you should category, and we help facilitate those conversations, understanding that we're not attorneys and can't give legal advice, but there's different rules for the different areas of the schools and officers in the schools. And it's important that we acknowledge that students have rights, even though in some ways they're limited. But they do exist and we need to respect those. Next, please.
Yeah, so sometimes, real quick, sometimes the MOU has a higher standard than what the state statute may have. And so that's why it's so important for both school officials and the SROs to know what those standards are, right? Because this is the policies that we have agreed between these two institutions. I think an example of when we used to, I think it's already changed, but it used to be that Salt Lake School District said, no, anytime we interview a student, we're going to have the kids there. I think the law was like 16 or something like that. No, we don't care. We want that parent or legal guardian there, and that's increases that bar. And then we believe also in training to the MOU. The first training that we did for Salt Lake PD and Salt Lake School District, we had the chief of police, we had the superintendent, we had both attorneys, and then we had all the SROs and all the school administrators, and we trained to the MOU. This is the MOU. This is what we're going to follow. So that everybody had an understanding of what we're supposed to do. So we did a pilot test in 2016. And that's when Steve was still on the job. And so we went around the Wasatch front with those school districts that we talked about, did some trainings, learned a lot. Oh, let's get rid of this. Let's change this. Let's add this. Always getting feedback from all the participants. Then in 2019, CCJJ through UBJJ, Utah Bureau of Juvenile Justice, they said, okay, let's go statewide. So we went statewide. We trained at that time 26 school districts with 52 law enforcement agencies that were partnered with them. We didn't get everybody, but we got a lot of them. Again, we gave a pretest before and a pretest after, a post-test afterwards, basically targeting a lot of the topics that we had there. Next, please. Next, please.
That's nerdy.
Yeah, that's nerdy stuff. So SA there means school administrator and of course SROs. And so here, like this question here, SROs should not be involved in a daily discipline. SA basically, no change basically means that they usually meant that they've topped out already from a 1 to 5. They kind of already knew. So they couldn't improve because they already knew. Versus on the SROs, they're like, oh, we're not supposed to be in daily. I tell you what, SROs were like, cool. SROs are so happy after this training. First, they went in nervous, like I would too, right? If I was in that position, they left out there so happy because they started to understand that, hey, I could push back on my school official when they want me to do X, and I'm not supposed to be doing this. Understand the roles of both school administrators and SROs, both improved. Should they be part of tier 1? Both improved because they thought tier 1, no, SROs don't belong there. Culture can influence the students. There was no change in either, and that's because they both had already kind of topped at the question that we had. So we're like, oh, we got to change it a little bit, kind of make it a little bit harder. Did not refer all students to crimes to juvenile courts. They both improved because having that juvenile court there telling you, we don't want these, we're going to shoot them back. The district attorney is not going to want them. They're going to spit them out. You're wasting your time. So that was an improvement. They both went from there. Next, please. SRO may not search students' backpack anytime he or she wants. The SROs, they knew that. We know the law. Those are some of the parts where the SRO we know, but the school administrators did not know. And this was really important because school administrators often wanted, hey, SRO, come check this backpack. I don't know if we have probable cause. Who cares, man? Come on. You can do it, right? So students with depression may display aggression. A lot of the students during residential care that I had were boys that were depressed, but they were extremely aggressive because we're not allowed to cry, but we're allowed to fight. Teenagers may experiment with alcohol, tobacco, and other drugs. Need to change because both already knew that. Part of adolescent development. That's just, we experiment, we do dumb stuff, but we can change if the change is there. Fear-based programs are not effective. School administrators believe, yep, they're not effective. SROs up, wait a minute, come on, man. Some of that fear stuff may be helpful. And so after we talk about it, they improved. And then the big one down at the bottom also here, the MOUs can guide practices that help improve student behaviors. I tell you what, there was so much pushback with MOUs. When we went around the state, MOUs, they take away our discretion. How is it that we're going to be able to do X, Y, and Z? After we showed that, we love those MOUs. It protects us. It protects the kids, protects the schools. Next, please. The favorite part, roles of the SRO and the school administrator. That was everybody's favorite part when it comes to teaching of the roles. And then we love doing those scenarios. If anything, sometimes we'd run out of time because people kept wanting to talk about those scenarios. But what about this law? And oftentimes we thought we knew the law, the group, and then we'd look it up. Oops, we weren't right. And so that's where there was a learning process there. Next, please. Next, please. And so we did another year based on what we learned. What happened is good old COVID kicked in, right? And so then we did another year. Again, 54 law enforcement agencies, 26 school districts. Some overlapped. Some were huge, like Granite, and so they needed some more people. Some had turnover, and then some were brand new. So we wanted to make sure we hit as many as we could, and the evaluations were actually even better this time. In that, when we made it a little bit harder, learned what people actually needed, the participants needed. There's improvement in everything for both school administrators and the SROs. Next, please. So now, after that, we started to go throughout the country. Before we'd have just the law enforcement, school districts, and juvenile courts. When we went to Minneapolis to work with Minneapolis PD, we brought in the community-based organizations to be part of that training, to show these are the practices, these are the programming, the services that we provide, and this is why it helps. This is why it's connected to delinquency prevention, crime prevention. And if you want to know what to do with a child, just give us a call. If you don't like that, a lot of officers say, I would love to help. I just don't know where to take them other than the juvie, right? So this would be a great place. And so this is also part of what's called School Justice Partnership, which is evidence-based programming that brings those four institutions together and create a process that says these are certain types of offenses or some certain levels of misdemeanors, and say these we're going to keep at diversion. That's what it's going to be, and this is going to be the process. These higher level, we'll have a committee to discuss it because there may be histories on it, and then these other ones, felonies, what? No, diversion is a part of it, and we go through the regular court process. Right. So these things, these school justice partnerships have been great. So yeah, we've been doing it in a variety of places, different states, and we continue to do it as well. Next, please. And that's it. Thanks for y'all's patience. I know that was a lot. And that's me pretending to dance at least I volunteer. Ballet West. Which is another too. No, thank you. Thank you. Any questions, please? And that is my email. So if you guys want to have any questions that you want to bring up in front of the chief, because it's scary. No.
I'm gonna
Can't say
slides though. Yeah. I am.
Thank you, Mo and Steve, right, for that presentation. We appreciate it. I'm gonna move the meeting along. We have subcommittee updates, so some of you commissioners online, you're all off camera, so we don't know if you're there. But I want to go through the subcommittee updates right quick. Our first subcommittee is training and data. We're looking for a lead commissioner for that, so we won't have an update on that. But we do have a school safety and youth initiatives. If we could get an update from Dia, if you're near and hear us.
Yeah. I think this most recent iChamps presentation kind of speaks to what we were just talking about in our subcommittee meeting. We're really just curious about all of the different projects that have been used with the district in the past and things that we want to move forward with. So we're super excited at all of the possibilities. And yeah, we're going to meet with, I think, a couple of the SROs in the near future, and get to know them a little bit better and see how we can better support them.
Thank you so much. Could we get a update from our community outreach and engagement subcommittee leader? That's Gloria.
Yes, thank you so much. So I am working on a list of all the activities, mostly cultural activities that are scheduled for this year that probably we would need the support of the police department. So that list is coming through. Hopefully I should get it done by the end of this week. And then I'll share it with Michelle and she can pass it over. And then we had a meeting, I think last week, Tuesday. And was it Tuesday? Sorry, or Monday? It was Monday, right? And we talked about Monday, yeah. We talked about the various programs that the police department is on, mostly the academy, the police academy. And we talked about how we were hoping that we could have like a preview of that academy first, so we can help with recruiting and have an idea of what's going to be happening. So they said that we're going to try to see if that's possible. If not, have some slots available for us commissioners. The academy starts sometime in the fall. So we're looking forward to that. And we were hoping that we could start recruiting for that as well. We also talked about organizing various like panel meetings with various community leaders, like in the African community, African American community, and Caribbean community. We talked about organizing various leadership meetups with the police department. And the goal is to see how that will be possible. I know Chief Red has met with most of the leaders of the various communities, but we were thinking, since we were canceling the community meetings we had every quarter, that we could do more targeted community leadership events where the police department is actually going to the community members' events. So we're working on all that, and the goal is to have everything ready, hopefully starting in April or May, and have a list of those various communities that would love to have the police department attend their meetings.
And then Dietrich, do you want to just touch on the social media part and that's the only missed thing, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I'll be taking on the social media initiative and working with the Salt Lake City Police Department on different ideas, but that's in the woodworks, but that is something else that we discussed on that subcommittee as well. Okay, and then policies and practices, Julia, can we get an update?
They didn't need to. They didn't need to.
Oh, they didn't meet, okay. Okay. So the T-FIP closed session,
Not today.
okay, all right. Let's see, this is gonna bring us to the close of our meeting. The next meeting will be Thursday, May 14th. But if there's nothing else,
We ask questions, or are we gonna talk more with the ICHAM people in the future?
Is it for the group, or did you want to talk with them offline? We are gonna have a follow-up. Let me talk on this. We are gonna have a follow-up on this presentation. This is just introductory.
Mhm.
Any voting items, budget, all of that should come over the next month. Sorry, and the commissioner just entered the space. Commissioner Calvert just entered too. But yeah, I guess you can ask your question, or if you want it offline, but we're not making any decisions.
Oh, no. I just want to ask, to get more background, but I can send them the email. Either way works.
Yeah, we talk with them too right after too. Yeah.
That's good.
As you take a look at the current one, you're going to see.
Welcome, Commissioner. I'm gonna mute you, Commissioner. Okay.
Yeah, this is Steve. Sorry, I had a finance meeting that went longer than it should have gone, but I'm here now, so I apologize.
Thank you for being here, Commissioner.
Michelle, we can repeat our entire presentation.
Yeah.
For Steve.
I'll go a little slower.
Slower, yeah.
Okay, let's get started. Let's get it rolling.
If we don't have any other items, or any other questions, yeah, I need a motion for an adjournment. Any commissioners?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
Okay.
Everybody said.
Well, that brings our meeting to a close at 7:07 p.m. Thank you all for being here tonight, and thank you for that presentation again.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Thank you for dinner.
Uh-huh.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.